Okay, so we started out with lateral flexation, which is the basic thing that you're going to need. In order to steer your horse, they have to bend left and right, and you don't want to have any resistance in it. So it's the building blocks we're talking about, the foundation. And then we rolled on, and it's pretty simplistic, but we're going to go back to the lateral more. Now what happens is you progress. When your horse progresses and learns more, you use less lateral. You start getting away from that a little bit. So when I'm taking lateral and I'm saying I'm bending to the side, the greener your horse is, the wider your hands are going to be. So when you're starting them off and you're riding them in a halter, you're basically leading them around from their back. And then as they progress, your hands start getting closer and closer together. And then down the road, you probably be riding them in one hand. So the lateral flexation we went through, and then we started in on the vertical flexation, what we call a soft feel. And we got it to where when I gather up my reins and put my leg on my horse, she's going to get soft. The instant she gets soft, I give back to her. And this, I've got her in a hackamore right now, and it wouldn't be any different if I had her in a snaffle bit or if I even had her in a halter. And this will, as she goes down through her training and everything, she goes up into the bridle, and I use a bridle on her. It'll be the same thing. You'll be doing it one hand, to where you take the slack out of your reins one-handed, and your horse will bridle up and get soft. And it's the beginning of the collection that you're going to be looking for. So once I've got her to where when I get her the slack out of my reins and she gets real soft at a standstill, I talked earlier about the different positions that I'm in. I'm sitting in position 3. What I'm going to do on one as I progress them forward is I'm going to move her out, so I roll into position 2. And as I move her out, there's life in my body in position 2. And there's enough life that I'm offering that I'm getting the walk that I'm looking for. So I'm walking. And then what I'm going to do is that vertical flexation that I was asking for, at a standstill, I'm going to ask for her to give me while I'm moving her out. So my legs are on. I'm asking her to move forward. My legs are saying go forward. My hands are saying come back to me. So as you can see, when I take the slack out of my reins right here, when she gives to me, I give back to her. I'm exaggerating a little bit with my hands so you can see. Okay? So my legs and my body, the life in my body is riding her forward. When I take the slack out of my reins and she gets soft and round, I give back to her. Okay? So we'll just kind of go over this again when you're working on your horse. You're going to want this really good, like breathing at a standstill, to where when you take the slack out of your reins, your horse gets soft, you reward them by releasing. When they're understanding of that, what you're going to do is you're going to move them out. And as they're moving out, you're in position 2, so there's life in your body. And you're going to take the slack out of your reins, and when they get soft and round, you're going to release. You're not going to try and hold that feel. As soon as you get it, you're going to give it back, okay? At this point, on a green one, when you're just teaching it to them, you don't try to hold that softness. As soon as they give to you, you give back to them. Then what you're going to look at doing when you're happy with that, because you can ride them out and you can get some cadence in it, and you pick up on your reins, they get soft, and you give back to them. What you're going to do is you're going to get a soft feel at a standstill and then ride them forward through that soft feel. So it would look like this. If I pick up on my reins here and I'm going to get her soft, now my reins weigh nothing and she's in that position. Now if you just look at my hand right here, when she gets soft, I'm still releasing. Although she's staying round and she's still yielding like that, I'm saying thank you by just opening the bottom of my hand right here, which is big time to her. It's enough for me to do that, to say thank you. Remember, when I started off getting this, what I would do is, as soon as she'd give to me, I'd drop my rein and give a lot of release. Now, if we can just take a look at my hand here, what I'm doing right now is when I'm going to ask her to move through this soft feel. As soon as she gives to me, I'm just going to open my hand, but I'm going to keep her in that position to where her head is down and in. She's soft at the pole. Now I'm going to ride her forward. I'm going to roll into position 2. And as I'm riding forward, I'm going to get that soft feel and give it back to her. So what I did is when I got a soft feel at a standstill, I could ride her forward from a standstill, walking forward in that soft feel without her pushing on my hands. The soft feel is the most important thing here right now. I need her to maintain that soft feel. If she struggled with it, I would go back to at a standstill, asking her to give me that vertical flexation. If she struggled with that, I can always go back to my lateral flexation, to where I would remind her, okay, remember right at the beginning there, I'm sitting in position 3, so I'm not asking for any life. I keep her bent until her feet stop. Because being that I'm in position 3, I'm not asking for her to move her feet. So if she struggled with it, what I would do is I'd just go back a step or two. I could go right back to, remember this, young lady? When I pick up on my reins, when you give to me, I give back to you. Lateral flexation. And then I go to vertical flexation. When I'm happy with that, at a standstill, I'm going to get that soft feel, and I'm going to ride her forward. And I do not want her pushing on my reins, on my hands, when she moves forward. She maintains that softness. And what I'm doing right now when I'm riding her around is I'm releasing just by opening my hand here. See, just slightly. That's enough for her to keep that position, to keep her soft, okay? You couldn't pick it up, put her head down and say, okay, I'm going to hold your head down there and expect her to stay that way soft, because she's saying, well, I'm giving to you and you're not giving back to me. It's so important that when she gives to you, you give back to her. In everything you do, in order for pressure to work, there has to be a release. In order for the release to mean anything, there has to be pressure applied. So I would build on that, and I'd build on that from the walk right up to the trot, and then down the road to the lope, to where you'd have them collected and framed up to be in an athletic position when you're asking them to move out. So that's more on foundation. In position 2, the vertical flexation that we call a soft feel, you just keep building on it. What I'm going to talk about a little bit too on this as we're moving forward is those positions and the life in your body. So if I'm in position 3, soft feel, roll her forward, life my body, position 2. I'm going to have her in a soft feel, and when I sit down and go back to position 3, she's going to stop, and then I release when she rocks her weight back, okay? So in our foundation, that's the second thing that we want to get on them, is that vertical flexation. Work at it. It's not going to happen overnight. If your horse struggles with it, go back and don't try to move them ahead too fast until they're understanding that they should be to where it's just like breathing. Like I said, when you pick up on your reins, they get soft instantly, and then you can start building on it and move it out at a trot and so far, and move up to a lope or whatever. But that's down the road.